I'm Lana, and this is the School of Public Policy. So today we released a report to try to understand why there are spikes of domestic violence in Calgary, Alberta. And we found that at certain times of year, particularly summer months and weekends, we found that at certain sporting events when there's a high rivalry between the sporting teams. And we found with economic stress, which we know is a predictor of domestic violence, when there's economic stress on a family, rates of domestic violence go up. This study was trying to understand situational factors. So what's happening in the environment that is either promoting or creating conducive environments for domestic violence to escalate. So we wanted to understand here in Calgary, Alberta, what's going on at certain times of year so that we can then put prevention efforts in place to stop domestic violence from happening in the first place. We analyzed over 70,000 police reports as well as the phone line Connect, which is a domestic and sexual violence prevention phone line. And we found that at certain times of year, there's spikes in domestic violence, there's higher rates. And so we wanted to understand what was going on in the environment that could be contributing to those spikes. We found the last half of Stampede rates are increasing. We found that at certain Calgary Stampeder games, especially when there's CFL playoff and rivalry games with the Edmonton Eskimos, there was increased rates. And so we wanted to understand what was happening in that environment that might be promoting unhealthy behaviors or promoting violence. So we know through research that alcohol is a contributing factor. We've known this for decades in the research. And so thinking about these special events that are happening in Alberta where we're seeing domestic violence rates, we know it may be a contributing factor. So what can we do about it? So workplaces and places that are sponsoring these events and governments can be thinking about how can we mitigate, how can we reduce the accessibility and availability, and how can we promote healthy relationships with alcohol so when we are drinking, we're doing it in safe and appropriate ways. Domestic violence is one of the most pervasive social issues here in Alberta, in Calgary, and around the world. We have one of the highest police reported rates for a Canadian city. This issue is all of our responsibility. So as a community, we need to understand what's going on in our environment, in which what's exacerbating or creating an environment for violence. So it's not one factor, it's a multiple of factors, and we're trying to study and understand what's happening in the community and the environment and what we can do to support. But always, domestic violence is the responsibility of the perpetrator to stop the violence. So our recommendations are we need to subsidize childcare and to ensure that parents have access to family-friendly events that are subsidized so everybody can access them. But we also know parents and families need the social and emotional skills and competencies in which to have healthy families. So we need more training and supports for parents to be able to be the best parents that they can be. We also believe that we need to support and think about our sporting events, and we're calling on all sporting associations to develop comprehensive prevention and sexual violence strategies. And lastly, we know the economic downturn has had significant effect in Alberta and specifically in Calgary. We know poverty is a predictor of domestic violence. So we need to be thinking about our income support programs and how to ensure that they are at rates that make sense, that people can live in a healthy and sustainable way. And we need to be thinking about our poverty reduction strategies. So we're calling on the government of Alberta and the City of Calgary to really be pushing their poverty reduction strategies and actions that they've committed to. I'm Lana, the Brenda Strafford Chair in the Prevention of Domestic Violence at the Faculty of Social Work in the University of Calgary. Thank you for watching.